Alright guys, so it was requested a couple of times, so here we are. We're on some Shoreline. Now this is going to be kind of my guide, especially if I spawn on Village side. We'll do the Riverside next because that one is a little bit more geared toward PvP. And then of course we'll do our paths and routes. I do plan on also doing that on Customs. Customs is just a little different just because it's kind of one path. If you spawn on Boiler side, you kind of have to go west. And then if you spawn on the actual custom side, you got to go east. But there are obviously different paths and stuff that I will go over. So just kind of bear with me on that. And I'll tell all the good loots, even though customs is a little bit easier than, you know, say Shoreline. So basically we spawn on Village side over here. Now there's a couple spawns that you can do. You can spawn way down there on the river. Way down there, or on the shoreline, I guess you could say. On the shore, you can spawn down there. You can spawn kind of up here on the mountain, back behind this fence right here, and then all along down that ridge before you get to bunker. And then there are a couple spawns that you spawned right inside this village right here. So now there's a couple things that I like to do whenever I spawn on this side. Never loot this bullshit. I mean, you can come in here and loot if you want. There's really only a couple bags. There's nothing of utmost importance. Obviously with Resort being added, you know, a couple patches ago, that's the main focal point on this map. Everybody goes there, but not everyone immediately. Now if I spawn next to this little compound right here, I immediately run straight to the bunker side. Sometimes it depends on what kind of game I want. If I want more of a PvP kind of game, then I'll actually run over here to these estates. But generally when everybody spawns over here on Shoreline, no matter where they spawn, even the guys that spawn over here mainly run down this wall to go to bunker and then to go to Resort. And if they don't, then they'll just kind of cut right in between and go straight to Resort by that little bus stop area. So just be aware. I have yet to really see anybody set and camp this location. So if you spawn, you're pretty much free to roam and go wherever you want. But like I said, everybody else will be also roaming and going wherever they want. So you will run into somebody, especially if you're just beelining it straight to Resort. So like I said, just keep that in mind. But if you do spawn Village, however, your main focal point is going to be these large estates right here. There's two of them. You have to have the cottage key to get inside one of the resort, or to get inside one of the estates. But the other estate is free game, and there is a safe and a weapons locker inside of it. So it is really good for loot. Nobody goes to the island anymore, hardly ever. It's a good way to get trapped, honestly. So nobody really goes in there. So that's generally a way to get free loot. But if you come inside here, get a couple jackets in that bag, obviously. That's real good to get cigarettes if you are on that quest. Come up in here. You've got a weapon locker right here. Chance to spawn a DVL-10. SKS in it this time. You've got the safe right here, which is unlocked, so you can loot it without a key. And then you have the loot right here. I mean, you can get a shotgun if you're so desperate, but mainly everybody loots the top for bronze lions, bitcoins, and whatnot, stuff like that. And I will also point out that inside this free cabin there is sometimes a key inside this, so keep your eye out for that. It's a quest item, but I mean it's just a key for Shoreline nonetheless. Now, to kind of help you guys out on the resort, a lot of players camp inside here. They'll get inside the wall and sit in this corner or so, and they'll watch that door when people come in. And there are sometimes scavs that spawn around here, so do keep that in mind. A lot of the scavs are mainly in the back though, but there are some scavs that will spawn out front and patrol. Watch out for this corner, like I said. Come by here and just look at it. You can easily see down through this building, and you can kill people that sit right there, but people do sit inside there, both of these, this estate and that estate. Obviously this one you can't really see down inside of. But when you go to open this, immediately just look right. People do camp right there, and some people camp in the back, and they just watch the doors. It's easy pickings, honestly. And then obviously in these bushes, they just watch the gates. So do be careful on that. Now, basically, the Shoreline part is pretty simple, just because it's kind of straightforward, cut and dry. You spawn there, everybody rushes the resort or these two estates. So just know the spawns. Once you learn the spawns, you'll be able to kind of find out where people are. But my suggestion is if you spawn far down there on the Shoreline, or you spawn way over there on that back wall, that ridge, you are kind of at a disadvantage almost. If you spawn way over there, everybody's going to be going to your location. So you either need to beeline it to resort and get there first, or you need to find yourself a good spot to where you can pick off all the stragglers that will be running by you. And the worst spawn, in my opinion, in this entire map, if you spawn on Village Side, is the actual shoreline itself. If you spawn down there, you are behind everybody. Now, you might think that's an advantage, but it's absolutely not. Because the people that spawn up on top of that ridge, or the people that spawn over here by the village and whatnot, they are able to get to the spot that they want to get to first. So if you spawn over there, sometimes what I do is I'll take the road all the way down to gas station, go up in the little mountains and watch people that spawn on Riverside go to gas stations. Go to gas station, there's only one, I don't know why I said plural. But I also like to take and go straight up past that road and come up into this little hill ridgeline here and get behind people and kill as many people as I can. That's really useful if you are trying to do your PMC quests on this map, which are quite a bit of them. Kill 10 PMCs at first, and then you got to kill 20 PMCs later on for a quest. So it is really nice if you do spawn over there, I guess, to try and kill people, but most people just beeline it, so it's really hard to actually get behind them, especially if you have gear and they are mostly naked. Now we're going to swing over here to Riverside. We're going to do both spawn points in one video because I kind of felt like it was kind of annoying to break it up. So we're going to do the loot and my path, my actual path on the guts of the map, especially in Resort. That can be its own video itself. And then we're just going to do the spawn points and kind of how I get out of spawn and take control of that certain area. Alright, now that we're on Riverside over here, you'll notice that there's really no structures. And that's the first thing you need to point out. I have one favorite spawn when I spawn on this map. I actually spawned right here along this wall. It's kind of right before the bend, which is not a bad spawn because there's nobody that spawns back here behind you, except for rare occasions there will be someone that spawns in the corner, but you won't spawn here. Someone does spawn there. And then there'll also be someone that spawns way back there behind the rock, which is just literally next door to the estates, but they'll be way back over there. So you don't have to actually worry about them. Obviously, unless you're beelining it straight to Resort, then you got to kind of watch on your right. Now, there's a couple key points to point out over here. And these, I mean, they can help you just kind of navigate around, especially if you don't know your way around Shoreline. You got this antenna here, which is actually for a quest line. You got to place a jammer on this. It's a little radio tower. This, you know, is kind of a central location to everybody else that's spawned over here, right? So, if you notice, back over here is an extraction. This is called Road to Customs. Everybody has played Shoreline that's extracted over here knows what that is. It's usually filled with scavs by the time you extract here. But people will spawn on the opposite side of that road of Road to Customs, and they can spawn actually in between up here. And of course all along inside the woods past this radio tower. A lot of people run up top on this radio tower because it's just kind of second nature. Whenever you know an area and you kind of know where it leads, you will tend to find yourself going to it more. So a lot of players that spawn back on this side on river will run over here to this radio tower because they know that once they run on this radio tower, just run right down the hill behind it and it'll take you straight to the resort itself. So if you're not super familiar with the map, most people have one path that they take and they stick with it because it works and it's fast, or maybe it's the only path that they know. A lot of players won't run in this open area, obviously, for players that come up here that can snipe them, so be aware of that. I don't really see it too often. I saw it last patch when this first came out, when the resort itself actually came out, but I don't see really anybody camping the side anymore. Except for a lot of times they'll get on top of that ridge right by the estate and they will camp down. They kind of be a dick like that, but I don't see it too often, so you really don't have that much to worry about. And basically anybody that spawns over here really rushes gas station. They spawn that far side, they'll rush gas station, and then they'll rush up to the estate, or the resort rather. Sorry, not the estates. And some people, you got your I don't want to call them like sissies, but you got your type of players that are terrified of the resort, and they like to play on Shoreline because of all the loot, but they like to hang off on the outskirts and wait and maybe pick people off there before they actually get into the resort itself. Again, resort's still the main focal point, but you got this little observatory up here. Nothing spawns there, so don't worry about that. That's just that area for a quest. Here's another milestone that you can look at, or I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not milestone, but this is another way you can find your way around. I call this the arch rock. You can even spawn right here sometimes. This is my favorite spawn out of any other spawn over here in this Riverside, because this is one of my favorite locations to go to. Is this giant observatory, which I'm going to take you to now. If I do spawn here, hands down, every single time I rush straight to this observatory. It's really, really good at spawning like useless shit. And by useless shit, I mean like bleach, the Windex wiper fluid, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a couple other good pieces to loot. It's not the best, obviously. You got yourself a big weapon box here, which is kind of nice. But you come up in here, you got a bag for smokes again. You usually always have juice or some form of liquid, or an MRE, or lunchbox right there. You open up this, you got a dock bag and some type of food that's sitting right there. Come upstairs, you got a safe. And a lot of times, like where this is now, sodium, you'll have alkali, or you'll have bleach, wiper, and same thing right here. And then you have some computer parts and useless shit to spawn there. Pliers spawn, obviously money and yada yada yada. You can loot all the lockers. That's honestly it, except for up in there, there's a grenades case that you can loot for grenades, and there's a key spawn. But I bet most people already knew that. In case you didn't, there you go. Now, this is a heavy, heavy PvP zone. I have fought many, many, many groups here on PvP. You guys have probably already seen that. I had a couple videos back where I played and took a, I think it was my PSO highlight, but I killed a large number of people here. It's extremely hot and heavy, and I cannot stress that enough. Nobody goes up into the observatory on the very top. I don't know why. I've killed multiple people by going up there. I know it's really easy to point out and kill people, but it's not as easy as you think. Mainly because nobody goes up there, so nobody looks up there. If they do spot you, though, it's really hard, and you're kind of trapped up there because you won't be able to run down. But one last thing I want to say about the Riverside. Since you guys kind of already know everything else, anybody that spawns down there really rushes gas station, or they'll actually rush down on along the side rock and go past the little water treatment plant, or just go straight up to resort. It's kind of up to you on what you do on Riverside. It's all super open, but this ridge wraps on the observatory. It's the highest point. It wraps all the way around. Okay, so it can see everything down below it. So if you spawned back down there, kind of by the CCT or CCP temporary. Which one is it? Now I'm gonna confuse myself. That's right, I spawned on this side, I can't even see it. Anyway, that extraction over there, if you spawn near that side by the shoreline and you rush this way, just be really careful, because a lot of people that obviously that have, you know, scopes and whatnot, will, if they spawn at the arch rock, they'll rush straight up here and go to that back ridge, and they just overlook it, and it's hard to get away from them because it's so high up that they can see you pretty much wherever you are. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. I don't want to obviously make this video too long, and I definitely want to get out the actual guts of customs and the guts of Shoreline now. And I know that it's going to come out, so I will do an interchange path as well. I've been playing interchange quite a bit, so I do have a path, especially now that people want to kill their 30 scavs. I have two main focal points that there are a million scavs that spawn, so I'll be able to actually help you guys out with that. If people are still on that quest, I know not everybody is, most people have finished it, but if you're still on the quest, and I just want to say that there's going to be a lot of videos of the standard M4, just bare bones again. I like the carry handle that's on top. I love it. I love the way it looks. It's still an M4. It's identical to what it was, but it just looks fantastic for me. It doesn't offer anything, but anyway, we're just getting into some future video stuff, and you guys can just be ready for that when it actually comes out. So hopefully you guys like this kind of Shoreline guide for the spawn locations, to kind of get out of them and to watch where people go when they're trying to get out of them as well. And just stay tuned for the guts of both customs and Shoreline. I just want to get the spawn points out first. So you guys know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, share if you want to, and as always, enjoy.